Hello, welcome. This is Blockchain Bloom, the blockchain educator. I'm Attila Pink, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about that Coinbase withdraws support from crypto bill and why exactly. I'm going to show you in this video. Also, let's talk about how many failed cryptocurrencies we had in the recent years, because that number is growing like crazy. And I'm also going to talk about that. Did you know that actually stablecoin issuers can freeze your stablecoin? By the way, it is actually this kind of kill switch is mandatory in the Genius Act. Also, we had 6 hours outage at SUI yesterday, and we had another big inflow into Bitcoin spot ETFs. Why? Bitcoin price went higher and higher, but I'm going to talk about a lot of things in today's video. So don't forget, if you would like to keep yourself up to date, simply just subscribe to this YouTube channel and also hit the like button if you like this kind of content. Now, let's do it. So first of all, when we're looking at the chart, we can see that Bitcoin is up 1.9%, which makes Bitcoin right now $96,850 US. Ethereum up 2%, $3,361 US. The top gainer is DCR with 30% increase, Dash 13% up, ICP 9%. And losers, well, Story is down 30%, Lighter 9%, Midnight 7%. So this is now the present situation. And when we go on here, then we can see that Bitcoin yesterday, as this is the daily chart, went up very nicely all the way to $97,963 US. So almost 98,000 US dollar. And we had his ascending triangle here. It's a bullish pattern in general. We had hit this resistance level a couple of times. Now we broke above it, stayed above it, and now let's see what the weekly going to do, because that's actually even more exciting. Because on the weekly, if we stay above it, then really the 100,000-ish level could be another one. And actually, when we're looking at the 50 moving average on the weekly, where we usually see Bitcoin price coming back in the relief rally after a big fall, we just were less than 4% away from that, right? So we extremely close, and this is the level I'm watching. What is happening here? Will be the price rejected, and then we come back and maybe we can go further down, or the bullish momentum could stay and we can continue. So it's this above 100,000 to 101,000. It would be a very key level before we break the new all-time high, if it's possible. But maybe just later. Maybe it will be a short-term increase and then we dump further down. But we're going to see what's going to happen. Anyway, when we're looking at the what's that, fear and greed index is right now at 54, so actually stronger than long time ago. I haven't seen it that somewhere here. Where was it? October. Basically, October was the last time we had seen fear and greed at that level at 54 in neutral position. So this is actually also increasing now recently. Okay. And the first topic I would like to talk about, by the way, and when we look at the big picture, then what we have seen usually other way around for a couple of weeks now, that the Nasdaq went up, Dow Jones went up, S&P 500 went up, silver went up, all these kind of things. Now, yesterday it was, this week, another way around. Bitcoin is the one which is going up, because don't forget, these are, S&P 500 and others, gold, silver, were around its all-time high. Bitcoin, on the other hand, it's far from 126,000. So now, obviously, there are much more entries. And now it looks like that it's a little shift from these towards Bitcoin. The question, how long it can hold. Okay, and now let's move on to the first topic. And the first topic is an important one, because Coinbase withdraws support for crypto bill. But why? That's important thing. So here we go. Coinbase abruptly pulled support from the Senate crypto market structure bill hours before the key banking community vote. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong called the legislation worse than the status quo. So here, let me go through this one because this kind of well summarizes it. I think it's a really, really good one, a good post. So to understand the whole situation, right? So banks pay depositors 0.1% interest. Stablecoin issuers hold treasury bills earning 4.5%. If stablecoin could pass the yield to users, banks lose the deposit war. They cannot compete. The math is fatal. So they made competition illegal. The Kansas City Fed calculated what happens if stablecoins pay competitive rates. Banks lose 25.9% of deposits, 1.5 trillion in lending capacity vanishes, the entire community banking model collapses. Their solution wasn't innovation, their solution was legislation. So the Clarity Act everyone is celebrating contains Section 404 prohibiting yield payments through any mechanism. Not just from issuers, right? From exchanges, from affiliates, from partners, every single pathway to competitive returns closed by statute. Okay. Brian Armstrong reviewed the 278-page draft for 48 hours, and he withdrew Coinbase support at 11 p.m. The markup was postponed by morning. He saw, so this is not a crypto regulation, what he's saying. And so bottom line is that it wasn't about crypto, it was for banks to protecting themselves. And therefore, these parts have to be revisioned and rewritten because this is not the way how it works. So very important why it happened. This is why it happened. So it actually is for crypto people, and this is important not to push it, go over it as soon as possible and just have it signed by the president. It's very, very important that whatever he's signing, it's good for us, and it's good that Brian Armstrong said, okay, I'm not voting for this one. Right. Okay. Then let's talk about failed cryptocurrencies by year, because that number is crazily increasing. So why is the usual approach for crypto not good anymore? This is one of the reasons. Look at this one here. When we had failed project numbers, obviously in the past we had much less cryptocurrencies on the market, but the number crazily grew over years. Therefore, the failed projects number grew as well. So back in 2021, last bull market, it was 3,000 failed projects. It's the big number, but not as big as it's coming up. In 2022, it continued with 213,000, then 245,000, but here was a big jump. From 2023 to 2024, in that year, in the 24, was 1.4 million. But look at this one. Last year, we're talking about 11.6 million. So this is why it's very, very important to understand that the whole situation has changed. You cannot really, invest in any altcoin and that it will go up and then it will move, it will make you rich. You have to really understand the narratives. You have to understand how to check a project, how to invest into this market, because this number is crazy. Anybody can basically come up with a token and put it on the blockchain, put some marketing behind it, and trick you, right? So it's not as it was in the good old days. Now it's different. It's still working, but you have to understand why is Bitcoin in the portfolio that extremely important. Why Bitcoin outperforms the majority of the altcoins. And more and more altcoins coming out, it will be even more and more difficult. So new approach is very, very important, in my opinion, to understand this whole situation. Right. Another thing which we have to talk about, because many people, with this new Clarity, Genius Act and all these others, getting more confident in stablecoins. But you have to understand one thing. It's okay that stablecoins are now regulated. It gives us some security, but these stablecoins can be frozen anytime, and you should be aware of that. And let me show you an example of what happened to Venezuela. Right, so bottom line is that if you hold, for example, USDT, right? USDT Tether can freeze your assets anytime. And look at this one. Maduro, fell on January 5th. 6 days later, Tether froze 182 million in Venezuelan wallets. No court order, no SWIFT coordination, no international process. One request, one company, ours. So this is what nobody understands about sanctions. They were supposed to push Venezuela off dollar rails. Instead of Venezuela moved 80% of its oil settlement to USDT. The stablecoin backed by 135 billion in the US treasuries, with every transaction recorded on the blockchain. With freeze capability built into the smart contract. That's very important. So it's built in. Sanctions didn't drive Venezuela away from dollar infrastructure. Sanctions drove Venezuela onto dollar infrastructure America controls more directly than traditionally bank ever allowed. So the paradox is that the harder America sanctioned Venezuela, the more Venezuela financed America deficit and exposed itself to American surveillance. The Genius Act now makes this mandatory. Every compliant stablecoin issuer must build in a kill switch. So I hope you understand the whole situation. Why is Bitcoin so important? Because Bitcoin is decentralized. They cannot just simply freeze it like this. So be aware of it, that if you hold anything in stablecoin, yes, now company-wise, what is standing behind their stablecoin is more secure because they checked, they have some background, the assets are backed. That's very, very important. And of course, the majority of people won't do these kind of things. Why they have to freeze their stablecoins. However, just be aware of the possibility that this can happen anytime. So this is another reason why Bitcoin is important, in my opinion. Right, the next one. Let's talk about the SUI, because SUI now had an outage. So it's starting to act like Solana used to be. Okay, so yesterday there was a 6-hour outage at SUI, and it started 3:24 p.m. UTC time. So basically, obviously, developers were working on it for a long time, and it was just fixed by the evening, to be honest with you. So almost 6 hours it went on. And the high-speed blockchain also faltered in November 2024, right? So that was the first one. With this Wednesday incident making the second major outage since the network launched back in May 2023. If you remember, Solana has faced similar issues in the past, but has not reported a major network-wide outage in the past 18 months. So people always blame Solana that, it's not stable, but in the last 18 months, doing pretty well. And now SUI had its second major one. So I think it's perfect. Just talk about that. Okay, and finally, let's talk about another big inflow into Bitcoin spot ETFs. So Bitcoin basically had, between ETFs, the biggest inflows of 2026 so far, while Bitcoin rallied up to almost, 97,000 US dollar, above, so almost 98,000 US dollar. As you're looking at here, we had on the 12th of January, 116, then the 13th of January, 753, but yesterday on the 14th of January, 840 million US dollars. So now the inflows are much, much heavier, and we also see Bitcoin price doing pretty well. So let's see how the whole thing plays out. There is a great possibility for the relief rally, first of all the way to 50 moving average on the weekly. But then we're going to see how strong Bitcoin is holding, going above it, staying above it, or will be a resistance level. But this is probably coming back up, maybe in a couple of days, maybe, in a couple of weeks, we're going to see it. So guys, that's it for today. And don't forget, if you would like to keep yourself up to date, simply just subscribe to this YouTube channel, hit the like button if you like this kind of content, and see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.